G'day everyone at the Stringybark Festival. On behalf of the Knox City Council, my name's Jamie Simpson. I appreciate your attention with this video. I'm in northern New South Wales today at a farm owned by Claire and Mark, and they're going to show us around their bush food garden and propagation area, or what they're growing in their bush food garden for product. And I hope you enjoy what we're about to show you. Hi, this is Claire in Dunoon. I'd like to introduce you to her, and she's going to show us around her garden.
Good morning.
Good morning, Claire. Thanks a lot for having us.
You're
it's amazing
welcome.
to be here. We're standing in front of a beautiful macadamia tree, and you have a lot of bush foods in your garden.
We do. I think we've got about 40 varieties probably. That's now amazing. At the moment, yeah.
And we'd love to have a look around. This is the audience for the Stringybark Festival for Knox City Council. Most of the people viewing will be in southeast Victoria. Claire's a newcomer to the bush food industry in the last few years, but there's opportunities for a lot of people in this industry. So what we're doing today is just having a look at how backyard operators can get involved in the industry, introduce new crops and make product available and make a little bit of coin along the way, ideally. But it's not necessarily about the money, it's about getting your hands dirty. So, Claire, how long have you been here and what got you interested in bush foods?
Good question. We've only been here 4 years, so we're pretty new. We've never farmed before, but we've had a business for 13 years, a bush food preserve business.
Oh, wow.
So we were buying our ingredients from all over Australia, and we were in suburbia and we were growing bush food. Our block was filled, so we had rosellas and lemon myrtle and cinnamon myrtle, and eventually we wanted to have a farm so we could grow all our own stuff and know that it didn't have chemicals on it as well. Was a big thing to us. We don't want chemicals, and it's very experimental. We've never farmed, so we literally got lemon myrtle to start with and popped it in the ground, hand watered it, no irrigation, and that's one of the great things with bush food is it adapts that we've found, and you don't have to fuss it too much. So yeah, so that's how we sort of ended up here. We bought a macadamia farm because we have macadamia oil products. We make oils with bush food infused, and dookas as well. And we sell the nuts as they are. So we wanted a macadamia farm, and we wanted vacant acreage so we could plant bush food. And then my partner Mark over here, who does all the hard work of the maintenance of the gardens, he works at a native nursery, so he brings home all these new things that we've never heard of, which is so exciting. So native currant recently, native guava, native elderberry, native blueberries, and we just have a go at everything. So yeah.
Excellent. And what is your business name? Can you promote your business for us?
Sure. Yeah, so the company name is Horticulture Creek, which we made up because we wanted it to sound Australian, because we've always included Australian native ingredients, so that was our thing. And we're not so much, we don't know an awful lot about all the botanical names and everything, but we know about flavour. So the flavours are just incredible. So what we do is we match traditional old-fashioned recipes is our most favourite thing, and then we'll see what native ingredient can marry together. So for example, we do an apple butter with cinnamon myrtle, and then we'll use cloves and allspice and all those sort of flavours that go together. So that's pretty much what we do, and it just expands as we discover more ingredients. At the moment we've got Gumby native apricot, and when I saw that I was like, apricot, so I can see an autumn chutney coming up or something like that, you know. So yeah, so it's all about flavour for me. Mark's sort of probably more interested in the plant side of it. He loves sort of getting his hands in the dirt and seeing how it
amazing. And how are you selling your product?
So a lot of ways. So I do local farmers markets, so Byron Farmers Market and Bangalow, and we also have a website. We do a lot of work with a big hamper company in Byron Bay, and that gets our product all across Australia. And we have a distributor who's just taken us on in Bangalow. So. And
you mentioned your website. What's the website address?
It's wattletreecreek.com.au.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Now we might have a look at your garden if we may.
Absolutely.
I'd like to get a bit of a browse through.
Sure.
So,
hide from cameras.
Your garden's amazing, Claire. So much space. I see your macadamia rose. What else have you got lined up here?
So this is our bush food garden, which we planted out. So there was a couple of things here. This tree here is a honey myrtle mandarin tree, which I make a mandarin, lemon, aspen and Cointreau marmalade with. It's our favourite tree, navel tree. We've got a couple of jackfruits over here. And then we've planted a row of Davidson plums down here. So,
really?
Yeah, so we've got lemon aspen, saltbush, Australian bloodlines, Brevillea good insect attracting plants as well. We've got a native beehive we put here, just through the macadamias, solely for pollination, because we knew that was the key, especially with the little finger lines, to getting them fruiting, and it really works so well.
That sounds amazing, Claire. I got to see your beehive.
Absolutely.
And this is Mark, who's come out of the bush. I'm only getting to know him. He's been hiding with a shovel in his hand. Mark, what do we got here?
This is one of our native beehives that we use just to pollinate everything in the farm.
That's amazing.
So the entry to it's just around the front of you. You can see them.
How tiny they are. They're the Cabanaria variety. Wow. And they're so small that they manage to get into all the finger limes, the little tiny thorns of the finger limes. Yeah, they do a really great job.
How did you introduce them? Like, did you just get a box and they came?
We did a couple of...
We bought a hive that was already loaded.
Yeah.
And from that, we split every year, so you get 2 hives from the one hive.
Oh, wow.
So you can build up your own.
And then you spread it right throughout the property. So they're really great for macadamia pollination as well. A lot of the farmers here are now turning to this.
And are they threatened by pesticides and non-organic
Very much
farming?
so. They're very sensitive. Yeah. So what we do when our neighbours spray, we cover them over, or we take them off the pole and we put them in the garage to protect them.
Wow.
And they're heat sensitive. They're fussy. They don't like the cold. They don't like the heat. They just block up the front if it's too cold or if it's too hot and just stay inside.
And it's something we don't consider a lot is how important pollination is, isn't it?
Yeah.
And who does the pollinating is the bees, and these are the native bees. So it's incredible to see them, and something we really need to pay a lot of attention to. Even this use of fly spray is a threat to these creatures. So thanks for raising our awareness of those. Thanks, Claire. It's so exciting to see everything. I believe you've got a myrtle patch.
We do. We have lemon myrtle, we have aniseed myrtle, we have curry myrtle, we have honey thyme myrtle, we have cinnamon myrtle.
Let's go have a look at that. So I recognise the lemon myrtle, Bacchausia citriodora. How's that going for you?
It's beautiful. You can see how healthy it looks, and we don't do anything to this except just additional water when we need it. So we dry this and grind it, and we try and keep it at a reasonable height, and we use it in all the jams, and also use it in spice mixes for the antimicrobial properties as well, to keep everything nice and fresh.
Spice mix that you're selling, a product?
Yeah, we make a curry myrtle spice mix. We're using the curry myrtle over here. And I make an old-fashioned curry mustard pickle, and that's the spice blend that goes with that. So,
that's amazing.
Yeah.
And how old would these plants be?
These trees are only 4 years old.
Wow.
So this is the first thing we put in.
Ones,
Little seedlings we got, and they go all the way down the hill. We've got about 200 plants of lemon myrtle. So this is probably our most important crop. Everybody knows that we make a lemon myrtle tea as well with it, and now people buy it off as well. So
that's amazing. Thanks. Now you mentioned a honey myrtle.
The honey myrtle, down here. We've also got the aniseed myrtle here.
Wow,
with all the beautiful
fresh houses, doesn't it?
Tips, isn't it?
Looks like a lily pad. So aniseed myrtle.
Have a taste of those little pink tips are beautiful.
Wow.
Needs a bit of a haircut.
Oh my God, that's incredible.
Isn't it?
Do you know where that's indigenous to?
No. Do you know where that's indigenous to, this aniseed myrtle?
I think it's South Australia. I'm not real sure.
Yeah. That's absolutely incredible. I haven't eaten it fresh before, so.
Haven't you?
No.
The little pink tips at the top, that's the best. Those little,
it's so sweet. And these are also just 4 years old?
Yes, yeah.
Wow, they got solid trunks on them.
Yeah.
They've probably had about 10 kilo cut off them and dried.
Wow.
We've had a lot,
each. Yeah.
Same as the lemon myrtle too.
So Mark's just saying he's harvested at least 10 kilos off each of these plants?
No, about 10
Off-
kilo
off
there.
the
We
lot.
probably had about 50 kilo off these
Yeah, off
ones
the
so
lemon
far.
myrtle, we've
Oh,
got a
yeah.
lot, a
Wow,
lot,
nice.
lot. We've got a lot bagged up. And then we've got the cinnamon myrtle over here, which is all in flower. Again, really, you can see it's beautiful and healthy.
Oh my God.
And we use a lot of this, so this is the one we use with the apple butter.
Wow.
And then we sell the cinnamon myrtle as a spice as well to people.
Oh
Very
my God, I've
delicate,
never
very
even
delicate
smelt
compared to the lemon myrtle.
that. And delicate
Delicate in flavour.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you know how lemon myrtle's so punchy and strong, where
Yep.
this one's quite gentle. So we do find we like to mix the other spices with it as
And
well.
this is flower bud, isn't it?
Yeah.
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 Yeah,
And then next
nice.
to it we've got the curry myrtle. This is one of my favourite ones. So this have you had this one before?
No.
So smell that. I wouldn't eat it like that. Some
Really?
things, are best dried and ground, and
Mm.
in my experience anyway.
Oh
Some
wow.
things
Geez,
eaten
such
fresh.
a unique
So
flavour,
yeah,
isn't it?
so we mix that with the sea celery, or sea parsley.
Oh really?
And that's what goes into our special
Are you
spice
growing
blend.
sea parsley?
We are.
Oh.
Yeah, not by the sea on top of a mountain, but we're growing it. So we find we need to
Wow.
put it in every year. It doesn't really last
Yep.
over and over because we get such hot. I think it's from the heat in summertime. It gets so hot here. And
Can we look at your sea celery?
it's just over in the other
Let's go
section,
do
so
that.
we can go over to that.
Claire's just pointing out in amongst the Myrtaceae families, there's a few other amazing plants. What have you got here? as
Okay,
well?
so these are fairly new. These are native guava that we've just popped in. We don't know what they're going to taste like yet, but we'll soon find out. We've got some black apple over here. We've got Burdekin plum, which we're really excited about because they fruited for the first time this year at the 4-year point. They were beautiful, bright pink fruit, and a little bit like the Davidson plum flavour, but not as tart. So yeah, these have only been in 4 years, and look at the plums on those guys. Oh, there is some Burdekin plum left in the tree. Look,
my
can you see up
golly.
there?
Oh
the little
yeah.
purple one?
Can I pick that?
You
or-
can, absolutely. There's one on the ground. Yeah.
Oh wow. So
They're like little
would
spaceships
that
when they're
be?
growing.
Is that edible now? Is it? Or-
If it's got a little bit of give to it, it probably is. It's pretty hard.
So what part's edible generally? Just
Yeah,
flesh?
the flesh, and it's got a big stone in the
Oh,
middle. So.
Wow. Oh wow, such a unique flavour.
They do
again.
ripen off the tree, I believe.
It's
as well.
incredible how much bush tucker has its unique flavour. isn't
Yeah,
it?
absolutely. Oh, that was that's one.
The ripening off the tree happens with a lot of bush foods, and that's an interesting thing, isn't it? Because
Yeah.
it works with shipping.
Yeah.
3-day shipping or harvest and then ripen. The appleberry, do you know sweet appleberry?
I've heard of it. I haven't seen it.
Yeah, well, I can help get you onto some of that because we found it locally. I sent you
Oh,
a
right,
video on
yeah.
that. That also ripens off the stem,
Yeah.
and it's translucent when it's ripe.
Okay.
And that's another sign for a lot of Victorian bush foods is they're ripe when they're translucent.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, that's an amazing native plum. And
Yeah.
the tree
I've
looks
heard
quite
the
familiar, so-
Aboriginal people would pick it and bury it in the sand for a couple of days.
Oh, really? A couple
and
of
that
days.
would ripen in the sand. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, definitely paying respect to the indigenous knowledge of the original Australian
Absolutely.
people. Yeah.
Yeah.
What an amazing legacy this country has. So much for us to discover still of all these foods that sustained the original people for so long.
Yeah.
Absolute respect to the indigenous communities, and I think it's good if the bush food industry can expand and create greater opportunities for indigenous people,
Yeah.
and only if they're interested, of course. But yeah, it's obviously associated to their culture. But as horticulturalists, we also know these are incredible products, flavours, and
medicinal qualities too.
yeah, and it needs to be grown. So I support and encourage anyone who can get into the bush food industry and prevent wild harvest, because you can see with crops like this in the wild, if people are harvesting in the wild, they're taking fruits away from the wildlife that would be eating these things.
That's it.
I can imagine a cassowary
Yeah.
chewing on that
Yeah.
one.
You can reach it.
Anything else in the myrtle beds you'd like to
Oh
point
yes,
out?
we've got some native tamarind over here.
And tell me about tamarind. What is that?
It's
Sounds like a citrus, but it's not, is it?
it's very much like the Asian tamarind. You can cook it up. It comes out. It's beautiful, bright orange, and it has like a little cane-like sort of structure around it. and you can cook it up and make a paste out of it and use it in Asian cooking. So again, that's what we do, is we tend to use indigenous food with traditional, what we've grown up as traditional European food, and meld them together and make really yummy, dishes that people want to come back for.
And what's the flesh like on this tamarind? So you said it's
a
orange.
bit like a persimmon, and the same colour as a persimmon,
really?
but much smaller.
Yeah, and a pip? Single pip or?
I can't remember, to be honest with you.
So they're yet to fruit.
These haven't fruited yet. I've had them off a friend's farm.
So it's a bit of a time investment with bush foods, isn't it?
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
You got the 3 to 5 years,
or even 7 years. That we've heard with some foods. So
and the industry is growing rapidly. I believe that most bush food product is being sold out across the country. There's a huge increasing demand for bush foods, so it's worth the 5 to 10 year investment, and it's also better for the environment, reduces agriculture is damaging the environment. These are moves towards sustainability, which is the most important thing we can be doing. So you're doing a great job.
Thank you very much. We've also got, so here we've just put some more of the cinnamon myrtle and aniseed myrtle, just because of the demand. We do have some an atherton almond tree we've put in, and we've got some Davidson plum.
So a native almond tree.
Yeah.
I've seen them wash up on the beach.
They have a big blue pod, and you can soak them and ferment them. It's a bit of a yucky old procedure, but so we've been given some by friends. But anyway, we got an atherton almond tree, and we popped it in. It's doing really well. So,
let's look at those celeries.
The sea celery. They're pretty new. They've only gone in. I've been in about a couple of weeks, really. Not even a week, really. So you can.
Claire, I can't help walk past these. What have you got here?
We've got Australian bloodlines, and this is probably one of our most favourite fruits in the orchard. They're a cross between a finger lime and a calamon and kumquat. Sometimes we've broken one open here.
Cross between a finger lime
and a kumquat.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And so there's less seeds in them. They're absolutely delicious in a gin and tonic with an aniseed myrtle leaf. That's our favourite.
Oh really? Wow.
Yeah. And they're just gorgeous. So some are red inside, some are the yellowy colour, and we've also got a new orange version down there.
And the common name again, sorry?
Is Australian bloodline.
Bloodline.
Yeah.
And will you expect these to get taller, or?
Yeah, I think they grow to about a metre or so. And again, we just try and keep them at that height so it's easy to harvest.
And do they fruit all year round? Or
they're really like normal citrus. They're kind of a wintry sort of crop, but we just sort of leave them on as long as possible, try and get some size on them. I'm pretty sure last year they were finished by now, but the seasons are a little bit all over the place.
And can you propagate from the seeds that come out of the fruit?
I think you need to graft them, really. We did have some seed, normal finger limes over here, and they're not really doing too much. The grafted ones, you get fruit much more quickly.
And have you been able to harvest enough to sell any of those?
Yeah, I dehydrate them and sell them in packets to go in gin and tonics. That we promote them.
Excellent. Yeah. So we saw the native bees. Obviously, we need to feed the bees to encourage them. And Claire and Mark have put in these beautiful grevilleas to bring the bees in. And this one's got a lot on it. And it's important to put in crops for pollination. Other things, this can be used to sweeten water. So if you've got a water bottle, you could actually break the flour off, put it in the water, shake it up, and it'll sweeten the water from the pollen that comes off the flowers. And it's an absolutely beautiful grevillea. And obviously we're in early spring, and great time for flowers and great time for bees. Yes, so here's Claire's sea celery. It looks amazing. Now, I love sea celery. You find it on the coast, all around Phillip Island, Wilson's Prom, coast of the southeast. It's only in small patches, and it has been quite rare over the last 20 years. I've been looking for it. You don't often find it, but in the last 5 years, there's been a lot more of it.
Really, yeah.
And because it propagates right on the shoreline, it actually, where you find it is where the high tide hits.
Yeah, it washes over.
So maybe it's self-propagating around the coast that way, but it's such a beautiful plant, and it's an indigenous plant to Australia, and it's native celery, so it's one to get to know. Now, how's this one been going for you?
Really good. We do tend to plant it every year. We do collect the seeds sometimes and get them going, or we do get seedlings, but it's absolutely beautiful right near the kitchen, so I just come out and I use it fresh. I just pick it fresh and throw it in the sea celery pickle, but it's also beautiful dried as well.
Oh, really?
And ground up, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, we use it both ways depending on what we've got. But yeah, we do tend to plant it fresh every year. Is the best way, but it spreads right out, as you can see here. This whole area will be filled with it in a couple of months.
And it's perennial, so it's here all year. It's not just an annual.
Yeah.
And do you think there's, can you sell much of it? Like, is there much demand for it?
No, people don't really know about it. So we find we're educating all the time at the farmers markets, particularly. Most people have heard of lemon myrtle, but really not a whole lot else in normal food. But they are fascinated by it. So we call our pickle sea celery mustard pickle.
Oh, yeah, brilliant.
So people come along and say, I'll have that sea cucumber thing,
Yeah,
sea celery, it's sea celery.
Yeah, that's
But
amazing.
it is gorgeous. But I did have a chef approach me about buying it fresh for a new restaurant in Byron Bay recently. So that would be great to get it on some menus like that.
Yeah, and being able to grow it and supply it locally, that's the best way to do it, isn't it? It's more sustainable.
Absolutely.
Supplying local restaurants. So if you're growing at home and you've got some product, the one place you can look at selling it is to your closest groovy restaurant or groovy cafe that might just be able to add a little bit of flavouring to one of their products.
Yeah.
And that might create a pocket money market for someone. It could be mountain pepper, lemon myrtle, it could be river mint, it could be seaside celery. We all need to, if you're interested, it's a great time to be growing these plants because they are threatened. The Australian habitat has been so damaged that the indigenous plants are threatened. We're not just losing habitat, we're losing foods that can become sustainable crops. So it's really important, and you guys are doing a great job here growing these indigenous foods. So
Thank you.
Is there something else particular we should have a look at?
Yes, we've got some beautiful mountain pepper around the corner.
Awesome. I love the mountain pepper. It's common in the alpine regions of southeastern Australia. It's often most recognisable by the red stem. I love it when you're walking through the bush, mountain tops, or full rainforest areas in southeastern Australia and Tasmania, and you see the red stem and you get to taste the leaf. And to taste the mountain pepper, you only need a nibble off the end of the leaf. Now you guys have put in this little one, and is this your first
We've got a
mountain
couple.
pepper,
No, this is our 10th attempt at growing it. We've had it all over the property trying to find the right position for it. We know it's an alpine region plant, and it probably won't, work here, but we're determined. So we've looked after it. We've had it in a little shade tunnel over winter time, and we just decided to put it under these macadamia trees in the shade of the shed and the trees, and close to the water, so we can keep an eye on it. But yeah, we need to get a couple of females next, so we can get some of those pepper berries, which is what we would love to do. But we use the leaf and the berry. So
yeah, amazing. And I believe the industry sells out of mountain pepper.
They do, especially after all the bushfires. And
they're sold out of the fruits as well as the leaf.
Yes.
And that has put pressure on the supply, and that has led to unsustainable wild harvest, which I've witnessed that, seen cut mature mountain peppers in the forest, and that's why it's so important to be growing from home and to be developing these crops. I hope in the future we see hundreds of acres of these indigenous plants. But again, to look after 1, 2, 3, it's a great start, and yeah, well done for having a go at growing an alpine plant in a tropical region. As from my observation, you're doing the right thing now, full shade. So I did do a consultation a few years ago, about 10 years ago, for a winery out in the Yarra Valley who had put in a bush food crop and asked me to come and check it for them. And they'd put in about an acre of mountain pepper, and they're all about this big, and they're all on top of a hill, full exposure and full sun. And they weren't getting any bigger. 2-3 years on, they weren't getting any bigger. They've got to be grown in full shade. I've grown them in part sun and full shade, not far from each other. The one in full shade, double the speed. So yeah, if you're growing mountain pepper, even if it's just one in your backyard for fun, as much shade as possible. And because it's from a rainforest environment, cool temperate rainforest, it's usually got damp feet, so it also likes our wet area, a damp area as opposed to a dry area. I see you've got some native mint over
We
there.
have.
Might
We've
have
got
to
an
go and have a look.
amazing mint bush over here, and it absolutely loves.
This is a great plant. Prostanthera species, which is the mint bush. There's quite a few species. The genus is Prostanthera. This might be roundleaf mint. The leaves are very small. Rotundifolia, there's quite a few species. In Victoria we've got Melissafolia. I found a few species up here that I don't even recognise, but they're all absolutely beautiful, sweet little shrubs. They can actually get up to 2.5 metres high.
Yeah.
The more you trim them, the denser they become. Now those trimmings are a marketable product. The dried herb product off this is very marketable, very sellable, great flavours, edible, usable in culinary products, dried products. It's not considered medicinal. And it's a great wind barrier or hedgerow or along the driveway, and knowing that you can harvest what you get off it. And what does this plant mean to you, Claire?
I just love the look of it as well as the smell of it. Just you brushing your hair now, you can smell the aroma. It's gorgeous. And yeah, it's just a really, really pretty plant. I haven't actually cooked with it yet, but I do intend to make traditional things like mint sauce with it, you know, as you would. But I'm glad you said that, because we could do that, trim it up and dry it and sell it as dried mint bush.
Yeah, it's also a lot of cuttings, so learning, it's really important if you're getting into your gardening, definitely learn propagation techniques. A shrub like this is very easy to propagate from cuttings. Now's the time of year to do it. So you guys watching this video in October, we're still in spring, so any cuttings you take now are very likely to propagate and germinate and grow over the next few weeks leading into Christmas. By Christmas you can have your cuttings in the ground. You could put 10 cuttings of this that are all like finger length long in one 6-inch pot. You might lose 2 or 3 of them, but then in 2 months you'll have 6 cuttings with roots and growth of one plant. So it's easy to propagate, there's a great market for it. It's actually the wholesale value of this can be around $50 a kilo of dried product. So that's if it's organic and well processed. So yeah, great plant, beautiful purple flower. Often we spot it in the bush because of its purple flower.
We had some flower last week.
Now Claire, we're not far off having a wrap. We might have a look at some of your product, and then we'll finish our tea.
Okay.
Thank you very much for your attention today watching this program for the Stringybark Festival in Knox City Council. It's been an honour to present this program to you guys, and I'll thank Claire and Mark for introducing us. Now my book, you probably know, Bush Foods and Survival Plants in South East Australia, will be republished later this year. Feel free to keep your eye out for that. My business now is known as Gondwana Bushcraft, and has moved on from Walkabout Education. This is a beautiful book that Claire's mum published called Fabulous Flavours of Australia by Jill Richardson. She's been growing bush foods and in the industry for 20 years. So I'd recommend you check out that book. Claire and Mark produced this amazing product from the Wattle Tree Creek farm, and there's incredible product you should get to know, whether it be the nuts, the jams, the sauces, the dried spices. So thank you very much for having us at your property, Mark and Claire. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And thank you everyone, and we'll see you again.